Well, well, well. First the bracelet. Now this.
Please, that belonged to my husband. Sure it did. Please, give it back.
So? My husband gave...
I don't feel like giving it back. Please! Please, it was the last thing he gave me.
If it means that much to you, maybe you should have taken better care of it.
The automatic doors of the arrivals terminal slid open into the afternoon sunlight, and Helen Roosevelt stepped into the air with a tired smile. The flight had been longer than expected. Her knees ached, her shoulders felt stiff, and the old leather travel bag hanging from her arm seemed heavier than it had that morning. Still, none of that mattered. She was finally going to see her son. 8 months. That was how long it had been since she had last seen Ronald in person. To most people, 8 months wasn't a very long time. To a mother, it felt like forever. Her phone vibrated. A text message. Ronald. Mom, I'm so sorry. The board meeting is running late. Give me 30 minutes, I'll come get you myself. Helen chuckled. Her son could run one of the largest corporations in the country, but punctuality had never been one of his strengths. Across the street sat a stylish café. 30 minutes would pass quickly enough there. She stepped inside. The scent of fresh coffee greeted her immediately. Most of the tables were occupied by professionals. Business meetings, laptops, expensive suits. Helen felt slightly out of place, not because she lacked confidence, because she had never cared much for luxury. She spotted an empty chair near the window. A young woman sat alone at the table, writing in a notebook. "Excuse me, dear, is this seat taken?" The young woman looked up. Warm brown eyes met hers. "No, ma'am." Helen settled into the chair. A few moments later, the young woman introduced herself. "My name's Grace." Helen. There was something instantly likable about Grace. No designer handbag, no expensive jewelry, no carefully constructed image. Just kindness, the kind that couldn't be faked. For the next several minutes, they chatted comfortably. Nothing important, nothing dramatic, just two strangers passing time. Neither woman noticed the luxury sedan pulling up outside, nor the elegantly dressed woman stepping from the rear passenger seat. The atmosphere inside the cafe shifted almost immediately. Heads turned, postures straightened. The woman entered as though the room belonged to her. Vivian. She selected the table nearest to Helen and Grace, close enough to hear their conversation. A waiter hurried over. "Good afternoon, Miss Vivian. I'll have my usual." As he turned to leave, Vivian paused. Her nose wrinkled. She sniffed the air once, twice, then dramatically. "Oh my God!" Her gaze settled slowly on Helen. "There it is." The waiter's expression became uncomfortable. Helen lowered her eyes. Grace's posture stiffened. Vivian leaned back. "Honestly, how does management allow this?" "Allow what?" "The homeless." The cafe grew noticeably quieter. "She's not homeless," Grace said. Vivian laughed. Her eyes moved slowly over Helen's clothes, the worn travel bag, the practical shoes. "I mean, look at her." Helen said nothing. She had dealt with judgment before. Not often, but enough times to recognize it. For the next several minutes, Vivian continued making comments loud enough for everyone to hear. Comments about Helen's appearance, her clothes, her bag. Comments designed to humiliate. Some people ignored her, some laughed, most remained silent. Eventually, Helen sighed. The happiness she had felt earlier had disappeared. Slowly, she rose from her chair. "I'm not homeless," she said softly. The room became quiet. "I'm simply waiting for my son." Vivian rolled her eyes. Helen lifted her travel bag. "But if my presence is bothering you..." She offered Grace a gentle smile. "I'll leave." Before Grace could protest, Helen adjusted the strap. A flash of diamonds caught Vivian's eye. She immediately straightened. "What was that?" Without hesitation, Helen reached into the side compartment, then withdrew a beautiful diamond bracelet. The room grew still. "My son gave it to me." Before Helen could react, Vivian stepped forward and snatched the bracelet from her hand. "Hey!" Grace shot to her feet. Vivian held the bracelet high for everyone to see. "That's it," she pointed directly at Helen. "That's my bracelet." And just like that, everything changed. The whispers began immediately. Did she really steal it? That thing must be worth a fortune. Helen stared at Vivian in disbelief. "Give that back. After you stole it?" Grace stepped forward immediately. "How do you know it's yours?" Vivian pulled out her phone. Photos, a receipt, a boutique name visible on screen. The price made the room murmur. The bracelet was expensive, very expensive. Vivian pointed toward Helen. "Does she honestly look like she owns something like this?" The crowd studied Helen. The worn bag, the simple clothing, the practical shoes. Helen suddenly felt very exposed. "My son gave me that bracelet." "The mysterious son," Vivian laughed. "Then call him." For the first time since the accusation began, relief flickered across Helen's face. She reached into her purse, pressed the power button. Nothing. She pressed it again. Still nothing. The battery had died. Vivian's satisfied smile spread slowly. Convenient. Helen could feel the room changing. People who had looked uncertain were becoming suspicious. "Maybe we should call security," someone said. "Nobody saw her steal anything," Grace said firmly. "You made the accusation, you prove it." Vivian smiled coldly. "Fine, let's hear her explanation." Helen took a slow breath. "My son gave me that bracelet." "What's his name?" Helen already knew how it would sound. The people in this room had already decided who she was. The truth wasn't going to fit that picture. Still, she answered, "Ronald Roosevelt." The room froze. One executive nearly choked on his coffee. Another lowered his laptop. The name was recognized immediately. Then Vivian laughed. A loud, disbelieving laugh. "The Ronald Roosevelt? The billionaire?" Laughter spread through parts of the room. "That's your story?" "It isn't a story." Vivian held up the bracelet. "And I'm the Queen of England." More laughter. Grace didn't join in. Neither did a handful of others. Because despite how unbelievable it sounded, Helen wasn't behaving like someone making things up. She looked hurt. Not caught. Hurt. Vivian saw the hesitation spreading through the crowd and decided to push harder. Her eyes drifted toward Helen's travel bag. "Let's see what's inside." Helen's expression changed instantly. "No, the innocent ones are a lot more cooperative." Helen tightened her grip on the bag. Inside were gifts, food, memories, and one item she treasured more than anything else she owned. Grace looked around the room. She wasn't losing an argument. She was losing the room. And once a crowd decides someone is guilty, changing their minds becomes almost impossible. The cafe manager arrived. The growing commotion had finally become impossible to ignore. He listened to Vivian, then turned toward Helen. "Ma'am, would you be willing to show us what's inside?" The request hurt more than Helen expected. Not because of the items, because of what it represented. Nobody was asking because they respected her. They were asking because they suspected her. She looked at Grace. The young woman gave her a reassuring nod, not because she wanted the bag searched, but because she knew this crowd wasn't going to stop. Slowly, Helen unzipped the bag. The first item she removed was a carefully sealed food container, then another, then another. The aroma of homemade cooking spread through the cafe. Vivian frowned. "What is all that?" Helen looked down at the containers. A small smile touched her lips despite everything. "My son's favorites." Nobody spoke. "He always loved my cooking." The room became noticeably quieter. The contents didn't match the picture of a criminal. They matched the picture of a mother. "Keep going," Vivian said. Out came wrapped gifts, a hand-knitted scarf, a framed photograph, a birthday card. Simple things, personal things. The crowd grew quieter still. "Keep going." Helen hesitated. Deep inside the bag sat the one item she never traveled with, the one possession she valued above all others. When her hand emerged, a pearl necklace rested in her palm. Several people gasped. The necklace was beautiful, elegant, timeless. Well, well, well. This belonged to my husband. Sure it did. Helen gently touched the largest pearl. 42 years of marriage. Countless ordinary moments that had become precious after he was gone. It's very important to me. Vivian rolled her eyes. First the bracelet, now this. She stepped closer. So where is this husband? The question landed like a slap. He's gone. For a brief moment, even Vivian seemed surprised. Then, how convenient. Grace's face hardened. You're mocking someone's marriage, someone's memories. The room fell silent. For the first time all afternoon, several people looked ashamed. Then Vivian's eyes landed on something engraved into the largest pearl. She leaned closer and snatched the necklace from Helen's hands. She held it up to the light. A single letter was visible. H. My husband had that engraved, Helen said softly. He said he never wanted me to forget how beautiful Helen Roosevelt was to him. Silence. Even some of the skeptics seemed touched. Then Vivian laughed. A cruel, ugly laugh. That's your proof? The letter H could stand for 100 different names. But she was missing the point, deliberately. And before the day was over, she was about to cross a line that nobody in that cafe would ever forget. The sympathy was beginning to shift toward Helen. Vivian could feel it, and she hated it. The old woman was supposed to be the villain. Instead, people were beginning to see her as a person, a mother, a widow, someone who had simply come to wait for her son. Vivian wasn't about to allow that. She turned the necklace slowly in her fingers, as though she was deciding what to do with it. Please, Helen said quietly, give it back. Vivian stared at her, then at the necklace, then back at her. Honestly, even if it is yours, she shrugged. I don't feel like giving it back. The room froze. My husband gave me that. So? The single word hit harder than a slap. Please, my husband is gone. Even the customers who had supported Vivian looked uncomfortable. If it means that much to you, maybe you should have taken better care of it. The cruelty of the statement seemed to echo through the cafe. Helen reached for the necklace, instinctively, desperately. Vivian jerked her hand away. The movement happened quickly, too quickly. Helen lost her balance. Grace lunged forward, but she was too far away. Helen stumbled sideways. Her shoulder slammed into a nearby table. Coffee cups rattled. An expensive leather folder slid from the table's edge straight into a spreading puddle of hot coffee. The room gasped. A group of executives rushed toward it. One look at the soaked pages was enough. The contract was ruined. Panic spread immediately. Months of negotiations had just been destroyed. Then the lead executive turned toward Helen. Do you have any idea what you've done? Helen looked horrified. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry isn't going to fix this. She fell. Grace's voice cut through the chaos. The executive ignored her. Grace stepped forward. She fell. This time, several people looked up. Grace pointed directly at Vivian. Because of her. The room grew quiet. For the first time that afternoon, attention shifted away from Helen and toward Vivian. Several customers exchanged uncomfortable glances. They had seen what happened. Maybe not all of it, but enough. Vivian folded her arms. So, now it's my fault she can't stand properly? You know exactly what happened. For a brief moment, uncertainty flickered across Vivian's face. Then it vanished. Her eyes drifted toward the necklace still hanging from her hand, and something ugly settled there. Pure contempt. She threw it. Not at Helen, not at anyone, just away, like it was garbage. The necklace struck the tiled floor. The clasp snapped instantly. The sound echoed through the room. Then came the pearls, rolling, bouncing, scattering in every direction. The café gasped. Complete silence. Helen stared. The necklace. Her necklace.
The last gift her husband had ever given her. Destroyed. Her hands began trembling. Slowly, painfully, she lowered herself to her knees, ignoring the pain in her shoulder, ignoring everything. One pearl, then another, trying desperately to gather the pieces. The sight silenced the room. Nobody laughed, nobody spoke. Several customers lowered their eyes. Ashamed, Helen's vision blurred. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Not because the necklace was expensive, because it wasn't. Not compared to Ronald's wealth. It mattered because of who had given it to her, because of what it represented. A lifetime of love, a lifetime that was gone. Grace immediately dropped to her knees beside her, without hesitation, without concern for what anyone thought. She began helping gather the pearls, one by one, carefully placing them into Helen's trembling hands. "It's okay." Her voice was soft, gentle. "It's okay." Helen shook her head. "It was the last thing he gave me." Grace's heart broke. The room watched, some with guilt, some with shame, some finally realizing how wrong they had been. But nobody moved. Nobody except Grace, the only person still beside Helen, the only person who seemed to remember that beneath all the accusations sat a grieving widow. Then, from somewhere near the entrance, the cafe doors opened, and everything changed.
The sound of the opening doors barely registered with anyone. Most of the people inside the cafe were still staring at the heartbreaking scene on the floor. An elderly woman kneeling among scattered pearls, a young woman helping her gather them. The silence was so complete that the footsteps seemed unusually loud. Then a voice broke through it. "Mom." Helen froze. The pearl in her trembling fingers slipped back onto the floor. Slowly, she looked up and saw him, Ronald Roosevelt. For a moment, neither moved. Then Ronald crossed the room, not as a billionaire, not as the CEO of a global corporation, as a son. His eyes never left his mother. Not the executives, not the customers, not Vivian, his mother. He dropped to one knee beside her. The sight of her injured shoulder made his jaw tighten. The sight of the tears on her face made something cold settle behind his eyes. "What happened?" Helen opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Ronald's gaze moved across the floor. The broken necklace, the scattered pearls, the bruising beginning to form on her arm. Then he noticed Grace, still kneeling beside Helen, still helping her. Their eyes met briefly. A simple glance, nothing more. Yet Ronald noticed something immediately. Compassion, the kind that could not be faked. Carefully, he helped Helen to her feet. Grace rose with them, supporting Helen from the other side. "What happened?" Ronald asked again. This time his voice carried weight. The lead executive stepped forward. "Mr. Roosevelt." Ronald turned. The man immediately fell silent. "What happened to my mother?" "There was an incident." Clearly. The single word cut through the room. Another executive pointed toward the ruined contract. "Sir, your mother destroyed the acquisition agreement." Grace's head snapped up. "She did not. The contract is ruined. Because she fell." Ronald's eyes slowly moved from face to face. Interesting. A room full of people, yet suddenly nobody seemed eager to speak. Then Vivian stepped forward, though her confidence wasn't what it had been earlier. "Your mother stole my bracelet." Ronald looked at her, then at the bracelet, then back at her. "My mother's bracelet?" For the first time all afternoon, uncertainty crossed Vivian's face. "That's mine." "No." Ronald's voice remained calm. "It isn't." Everyone began speaking at once, different stories, different versions, different explanations. Ronald listened for nearly 30 seconds, then he raised one hand. Instant silence. "I've heard 6 different versions of what happened." He turned toward the manager. "Nobody leaves." Ronald pointed toward the security office. I want every camera angle from the moment my mother entered this cafe." Several people visibly paled. Vivian felt her stomach drop. Grace quietly exhaled. For the first time all afternoon, the truth was finally going to matter. Ronald looked back at his mother, then at the pearls. Without saying another word, he crouched down and began gathering them. The room watched in silence. One pearl, then another, then another. The billionaire CEO of a multi-billion-dollar empire kneeling on a cafe floor beside his mother, collecting broken pearls. Helen's eyes filled with tears, not from pain, from relief. A few minutes later, security employees returned. "We have the footage." Ronald rose. "Play it." The screen lit up. The footage began. There was Helen entering the cafe. There was Grace. There was Vivian. Everyone watched. Nobody spoke. The footage revealed everything. The insults, the humiliation, the bracelet, the accusation. Then came the moment. Helen removing the bracelet herself, showing it openly, proudly, with absolutely nothing to hide. Then Vivian snatched it from her hand. The room fell silent. Every cruel remark, every false accusation, every moment Grace stood beside Helen while others backed away. Vivian's face slowly drained of color. Then came the final blow. Security froze the image. The camera zoomed in, close enough to reveal the inside of the bracelet, a tiny inscription. Then the words became visible. "To Mom, love always, Ronald Roosevelt." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Helen had told the truth the entire time. Across the room, shame spread like a disease. People looked away, avoiding Helen's eyes, avoiding Ronald's, avoiding their own reflection in what had happened. Meanwhile, Ronald remained beside his mother. One hand rested gently on her shoulder. The storm was finally ending. Then a phone vibrated. Grace froze. The color drained from her face. She looked down at the screen. Helen noticed immediately. So did Ronald. But before either could say anything, Grace answered. She turned slightly away, listening. The worry in her eyes deepened, then deepened again. Something was terribly wrong. The call ended several minutes later. Grace lowered the phone slowly. The weight of whatever burden she carried seemed heavier than before. Yet she said nothing. Because this moment wasn't about her, it was about Helen. While everyone remained focused on the footage and the growing consequences, Grace quietly moved closer to Helen. She gently took the older woman's hand. Helen looked at her. Grace smiled. A sad smile, a tired smile. Then she leaned forward and kissed Helen softly on the forehead. Helen blinked, touched by the unexpected affection. Grace squeezed her hand, then whispered, "You're safe now." Helen's eyes filled with emotion. She squeezed Grace's hand back. Then Grace stood and quietly walked away. No announcement, no goodbye, no demand for recognition. Minutes passed. Then, for the first time since entering the cafe, Ronald allowed himself to think about something else. The young woman, the one who had stayed beside his mother, the one person who had done the right thing. He turned. The chair beside Helen was empty. His eyes swept across the cafe. Nothing. Where's the young woman? Helen looked beside her. The seat was empty. Suddenly, she remembered. The phone call, the sadness in Grace's eyes, the kiss on her forehead, the words, "You're safe now." Helen's heart tightened. That hadn't been comfort. It had been goodbye. An employee pointed toward the security monitor. "I think she left about 5 minutes ago." The footage showed Grace quietly walking through the exit, alone. No reward, no recognition, no thanks. Just leaving. The same way she had entered Helen's life, quietly helping someone who needed help, then disappearing. Ronald stared at the screen. Most people would have stayed. Most people would have wanted something. Grace hadn't asked for anything. Helen looked toward the doorway. She never even got the chance to properly thank her. Finally, she turned to her son. "Ronald." He looked at her. Helen glanced once more at the exit, then quietly said, "Find her." The room fell silent. Ronald followed her gaze, toward the doorway Grace had disappeared through. A strange determination settled in his eyes. Then he nodded. "I will." And for the first time since entering the café, Helen smiled. Ronald looked at the frozen CCTV image of Grace leaving the café. Then his eyes narrowed. "Stop." The technician paused the footage. Ronald stepped closer. Grace was holding her phone. Even from the security footage, the fear on her face was unmistakable. Whatever she had heard during that call had shaken her deeply. Ronald looked toward his security team. "Find her." "Yes, sir." Ronald kept staring at the screen, because for the first time that afternoon, he realized something. Grace hadn't walked away from the café. She had run toward a problem. And judging by the fear in her eyes, she was facing it completely alone.